All right, there. Welcome to another exciting episode of United and Everything Football podcast. We don't have any midweek game, as you know, so in between the time.
Thank God. Thank God.
I'm just saying, thank God.
Someone has been postponed to the weekend.
And you know, it was just this evening that I checked the time for the next game, and it's an early kickoff.
Yeah, Saturday early kickoff.
Saturday early kickoff.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm joined today by two of my very special friends and my brother. Kwame Chukwuesiako is here with me as usual, and Sicho is also back on the podcast with us, and Yao is making a second appearance on the podcast. Gentlemen, let me start with Yao. Yao, great to have you back on the podcast.
Yeah, it's always refreshing to be with you guys to talk football. So I'm excited.
Great to have you. Sicho, do Ragman.
Yeah, man.
Ali Asise, you fire people for the TL talk. Why? What has Ineos done to you? We'll talk about Ineos, but what then do you?
I think
it'll be like the debate is small.
I don't think so. It's like you're in trouble and somebody is pretending to be helping you, but the person truly is. No, seriously, it's pretense. It's pretense, really. But it's pretense. But
we'll
get there.
We'll delve into it. Kwame,
It's good to be here again.
Great. So, as usual, you know what to do. Remember to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell. If you are very new to this podcast, or if you've been watching and you've not subscribed, you are not helping the channel. Please remember, hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button as well, because the likes does a lot for us. It sends us far. It takes us to corners where people don't know us, right? It tells you that you validate the podcast. So please remember to hit the like button. It's very important. Let's make a quick turnaround. When I come back, I'll get to my guys. There are things we are talking about. We'll talk about that VARANE interview that he's had with the Athletic. Very insightful, very detailed one. And also we'll talk about the news that came up that it looks as if the players are about to fall out with Ruben Amorim on his tactics. We'll talk a bit about that and a few other things here on United and everything. So remember, it's going to be a bit of an extensive podcast today. So stick and stay with us here on United and Everything Football. All right, thank you very much. Welcome back to United and Everything Football podcast. So I'm here with Yao Bing, I'm here with Sicho, and Kwame Chukwuesiako also here with me. So we'll start a bit. We'll start with that Varane interview. There are so many things he discussed. He discusses issues with Erik ten Hag, issues about the United structure and the differences in the way things are, because he had opportunity to be with arguably, the biggest club in the world, Real Madrid. So he had to compare a few things that happened in that club and Man United. Let me start by reading one of the things that he talked about concerning the differences between being at United and Real Madrid. He was asked, and he said that even from the inside as players, there wasn't a clear structure on how things were going to work. There hasn't been a fixed methodology for years. At Madrid, they have a defined way of doing things at every level of the club. At United, it was not clear or defined enough to know how to recruit, how to play, how to communicate, and they weren't the same procedures, processes, and structure. Now, we talk about being a big club and all of that, and we aspire with Real Madrid in terms of how huge the brand is, but our football clearly doesn't show. In the last 12 years or so, we've been a totally different club. We are not making Champions League regularly. Things are not good with recruitment. We are not hiring the good people to run the club, etc., etc. But yeah, this is what I'll start with you, Yao. This is what Varane is saying in terms of the structure. I mean, he's one person who has had the opportunity of playing both clubs, so I'm sure we should take it from him, from the perspective it's coming from, right?
Well, I think that it's open news. Everybody is not it's an open secret actually that Man United for years have not been run like a proper club and in terms of sporting structure, and we've all been crying for it. And some of us were hoping that people like Ineos will come in and do. I mean, we'll talk about Ineos later on, so I don't even want to start. Otherwise, I'll divert the discussion. But basically, what it is. First of all, I don't expect that Man United and Real Madrid will have like the same structure.
Yeah.
But there should be certain elements that show that you're a properly run club.
Yeah.
For years, we've not had like Man United now have a sporting director. We had somebody like Metok who was um, being like a football director, but not necessarily a sporting director. We didn't have other teams have like a transfer committee, like Liverpool have been famous for their transfer committee, where it's a group of people who sit down and decide on a player, not necessarily the coach suggesting players. But even when you go to like Man City, Chicky Bergersten seems to be the one who does more. And Guardiola, I mean, recently he said he was there, and Chicky came to me and says we have to sign Mamouche, and I was like, okay, let's sign him. Then he was there again. He spoke about the time Doku was available, and Chicky Bergersten came to him and said, hey, Doku is available. I think we should buy him. So that's the level of sporting structure that's in setting. And Guardiola, like being a coach who's worked with Chicky Bergersten, trust Chicky to bring some good this thing. But Man United hasn't had that. I mean, probably maybe now that we would have like Jason Wilcox being a sporting director. We had Dan Ashworth, we had to sack him. Wilcox is in. Let's see what Wilcox are. But the whole structure in Man United has been more commercial, generating funds than sporting. And that's why we've had built a squad over 600 million pound players, and there's no value in the squad. And that's where I think Varane is talking about.
Very interesting. Kwame, I don't know what you make of this, especially this part of the quote. He says that it is not one person's responsibility. That's the problem. We don't know whose fault it is. It has to be in the overall organizational structure. There were too many people involved in decision making. So we didn't know who was really making the decision. I can't say who was responsible. I don't know. It was a bit of everyone and a bit of no one. That was very profound.
Yeah. I respected Varane before the interview, but now I respect him even more because sometimes some hard truths have to be told. We've been speculating as to what has been happening on the football club, but it's always good to have somebody who was actually there coming out to confirm or rule out certain things certain stories that came out of the club. When Erik ten Hag took over, he said he wanted certain vetoes, certain powers to be able to, have a say on transfers. We also had Meto also has a say. The owners also have a say. There's a transfer committee that also has a say. At the end of the day, you ask yourself, so who was making which decisions? Who was responsible for the signing of which player? Erik ten Hag comes out and says, I wanted Anthony, but Anthony was already on the list of Manchester United even before I got there. So who really sanctioned the purchase of Anthony?
It sort of leaves credence to a lot of the things Varane is talking about.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, you are asking yourself, is it one voice, one mind, one philosophy, one ideology when it comes to the signing of players at the football club? At that point in time, it's clear that wasn't the case. And it's epitomized by the fact that even before Erik ten Hag did sign a new contract with Ineos, one of the issues that always came up was the vetoes, the issues. The fact that he still wanted his veto at the club maintained, whereas Ineos wanted him to downgrade to the position of head coach. Eventually, all that did not work out as many people like Sicho himself had predicted. We have to give some people their stones here. But we've all come to learn the fact that over a course of time, hindsight is a beautiful thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That decision has sort of set us back quite a bit. Varane also said, just to add to that quote, that he was surprised that Erik ten Hag was even maintained.
It was a question I was going to throw to Sicho, but since you brought it up,
let me leave. No, Sicho is the best person to address.
Exactly. So. I mean, if we are dishing humble pies, Sicho should be dishing it to us, all right? Because he's one person who was a very strong proponent of why Erik ten Hag shouldn't stay. And clearly, in our private chat with Kwame today, I told Kwame that I will take responsibility for being part of the people who wanted Erik ten Hag to stay, but I think it was a wrong decision. I take responsibility. I take responsibility, and I'll give Sicho his stone for that. But this is what Varane had to say. He had a few issues with Erik ten Hag and the system. He says it was a fairly rigid pattern of play defined in advance. There was very little flexibility in terms of adapting on the pitch. The game the game plan were very, very precise with a lot of information. It was different. The system was a bit blocked by the coach's instructions. And he also talked about how he felt very surprised when the hierarchy decided to maintain Erik ten Hag. If we have recounted a few of the events leading to that, Jason Wilcox did a very good analysis and recommended to the board that Erik ten Hag has to go. But some way, somehow, things didn't work out in the way that. Situ, I throw this to you. I mean, you would have a lot to say about this particular situation. What do you make of this? Varane talked about.
Well, yeah, it's truly, truly. When Ineos decided to keep Erik ten Hag was when I just knew they were not ready for the job. It's when I just knew that they didn't have the mentality to manage an elite club like Manchester United. Because you don't try your luck with a club like Man United when you have an opportunity of starting on a clean slate. And then when you've brought in your football people, the people you trust to do the job, and they've gone on to recommend that this manager can take this squad forward, for you to have kept them only because, and this is why I got so upset with Ineos, only because of 190 minutes of football in the FA Cup final, then truly you don't know what you're about, because there were more than 40 games played in the season. And for most of those games played in the season, even in the games that Man United won, it was clear that the manager was going nowhere with the squad. A lot of the players knew, Ineos knew, they started speaking to different managers, started asking around or from agents who they could bring on board. And then, because football fans on social media, X and Facebook, were happy that the club had won the FA Cup against Man City, they backtrack, right? My point is, if Erik ten Hag had lost the FA Cup, would they have kept him? My answer straight away, I think, is no.
Mm-hmm.
So why did you keep him? Because he won the FA Cup, right? That 90 minutes of game should never really have been the reason why he stayed on. And my thinking then is, okay, now that you have you've kept Erik ten Hag, and you've find players to suit the way he wants to play. If you're going to change him midway through the season, you should be able to analyze the group of players you have, and then know that the manager you're going to bring in seamlessly. But what did they do? They built a squad for Erik ten Hag. It doesn't work as all of us knew it wouldn't. They eventually get rid of him, something they should have done earlier or should have done at the end of the season, to prepare or give room for the new manager to have a preseason and build a squad for him. They keep Erik. They sack him in the middle of the season. They don't analyze the squad, and they bring in a manager who completely cannot make use of this team to be competitive. Right? We can talk about the number of games he's lost and the fact that he could have done better. But whether we like it or not, there was no way Amorim was going to use this team to get into the top four. No way. It's like the material he's got is completely at variance with what he would need to succeed, right? And so you throw in the new manager and you throw him into a terrible mess. You throw him into the ditch. My point is, a better footballing minds will look at Amorim and say, okay, we like him, but he can't do a job for us now. But we can't throw the season away because we've still got some competitions we might be able to manage. We've still got top four to get into. So you're looking for the manager who could come in as the interim, a manager who could work with this squad. Because I tell you what, the squad that Erik ten Hag left wasn't the best, but it was, in my opinion, still good enough, maybe then, to go on into top four if the January window was successful. Then you come to the January transfer market, right? having kept Eric Ten Hag, having messed around with Ten Hag, and having not sacked him, you bring in your own manager, and you have the worst January transfer I've seen from Man United. You weaken the squad by loaning some players, and you bring in only Doku. What are you giving the coach? Have you already thrown the season away? So for me,
Yeah.
when Varane speaks about the fact that Ineos should have sacked Eric Ten Hag, it is not one mistake. I could forgive them for not sacking Eric Ten Hag and sacking him mid-season, but it is the chain of mistakes that has followed that gives me the thought to question their competence on the job. Because really, like when you sack Eric Ten Hag and you bring in Ruben Amorim, then what is the point? Why bring in Ruben Amorim for a squad that won't work? And then why then are you also giving him the January transfer that you're giving him? It all doesn't work. It all doesn't make sense for me. So I agree with Varane for what he said. And quickly on what he said earlier about the structure at the club. Look, what he's saying is serious. In the last 10 years or so, we have seen about, if you like, 6 players, if I'm not mistaken, from elite teams come to Man United. When these players have left, or when these players are in the club, they said things very similar to what Varane has said.
Right.
Di Maria came to the club and didn't want to stay there after a few weeks. Right? He didn't like Manchester. But he also, when he left, spoke about things around the club. I don't like Di Maria anyway for that, but that's fine. Sanchez got to the club, and after one training session, he wanted to leave the club. Having told Old Trafford, Carrington and Old, he wanted to leave the club. Cristiano Ronaldo returned, and he said the same things, or even more. Now, Varane has come to the club from Real Madrid. So I'm just talking about Di Maria from Real Madrid, Sanchez from Arsenal, another top club, Varane from Real Madrid. Let's not forget what Zlatan Ibrahimovic said last year or two, when he said Man United are living in the past when truly they are not, living in the reality of the failings, because it's a big club, but inside the club, the mentality is weak. So we are seeing elite players from elite clubs compare the experiences they are having at these elite clubs to what they've experienced at Man United, and they're all telling us the same stories. The only players who have the team are Bruno Fernandes from Sporting, Lisandro Martinez from maybe Ajax, Rashford from Academy, Maguire from Leicester, Hoyland from Atalanta, Zegzi from... These are the players who come to Man United and they're like, yeah, we are here. But the elite players come to Man United and tell us these things that Varane is saying. So it is not a lie. All of us can see it, and they keep saying it.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. So let's the Varane situation or the Varane interview leads us to a few things that we had penned down to discuss. And yeah, I'll start with you. The very interesting topic of football players, losing confidence in a coach's method, and as a result of that, would want to, find a way to sort of throw the coach under the bus and all of that. It's become very topical. In the course of this week, we've seen from the Daily Mail from Chris Wheeler having to talk about the players sort of having to lose confidence in the way that we are playing at the moment. I don't know what you make of it. I saw our brother Akumia say that from these players, like quote unquote, these players again, quote unquote. But what do you make of that news that came out that it looks as if the players are sort of losing confidence in the coach?
It's expected. When a team is not winning, you expect that there'll be some sentiments coming out from player camps, player agents, journalists will be picking up on it, saying that players are not happy with. And even Amorim himself said, look, if I don't win, the players will not trust the process. So the coach is not oblivious of that fact that he needs to win. And it's just all born down to you not winning. Because once you are not winning, players begin to doubt either the coach or they begin to doubt themselves. Or they doubt both of you and whether they can even fit into the system that you want them to play. And Amorim's biggest problem is that he needs to win. Because he's not winning, players are going to have those sentiments. What normally happens, and even when teams are winning, in crisis, there's always a leadership group within the players. I mean, Man United have, I know Luke Shaw was one, Bruno was one, Casemiro is one, Varane when he was there was also one of the leadership group. So what typically happens is that sometimes the leadership group would go to the coach and tell the coach, hey, look at this. This is not working. This is not working. I know in Varane's interview, and just to piggyback over, he said he had a conversation, and a lot of things were said between him and Ten Hag. And after that, he didn't play for 2 months. So probably maybe Ten Hag didn't like the approach or didn't like what was said. But typically, leadership groups within teams will go to the coach and talk to them about what is wrong, whether it's training tactics, whether it's training methods, whether it's tactics during the game. They typically go and when things are not, even when things are going well, sometimes players will even suggest to the coach, I think we should be able to do this. If you have that relationship with your players, it's all well and good. But Amorim has just dug himself into a big hole where the team is not winning. He's very dogmatic about what he wants to do, and the team is not reacting. You see, if it's different if Man United were performing and not winning. Then you can say, oh, at least there's some light at the end of the tunnel. But the performance is not there, winning is not there. So definitely players are going to doubt you. And it gets to a point where when players begin to doubt you, then there will be sentiments out, and then the management will now have to take a decision. It's happened in other clubs. I mean, Chelsea, there was a time, I think it was Mikel Obu who said Abramovich brought his helicopter, and when he came, he called everybody and asked them what is happening. When they said they don't like the coach, bang, the coach was out of the door. So it happens in clubs. And if Amorim continue, I mean, Amorim is lucky because Ineos will feel like they've dealt him a bad hand in how they've treated him, brought him in the middle of the season, and not really giving him the ammunition. So Amorim will survive to the end of the season. I doubt that Amorim will be sacked. And if Amorim is sacked, then it will come back to when we talk about Ineos, where I'll talk about how Ineos have caused financial loss to Manchester United. I'll talk about that topic, but I'll just leave this one for now. And then when we get to Ineos, I'll talk about how Ineos should be charged for causing financial loss to Manchester United.
Well, yeah, this topic leads me to something. I mean, he's very clear that United would stick to Amorim. Then I asked the question, is the threat of relegation real?
I don't think we would even come close to getting relegated. Not even close.
We are not
I think there are two. The other teams below us don't win football matches. We are exactly where I told you would probably be at this stage of the window. If at this stage of the season, if we didn't have a good transfer window, I've been saying it for a couple of months. There are just about 5 teams worse than us, and you can see them right below us on the table. It's West Ham and Ipswich and those kind of Southampton, those kind of teams. They don't win football matches. I think, see, just to go back to what Yao was talking about, this topic is so hard to talk about. See, when you speak against the manager, they say you are player FC. When you speak against the players, then they go like you're manager FC. I'm just sick and tired of this whole situation. So I've just taken the stance, right, to blame whoever is responsible for appointing both the manager, sacking the manager, buying players, and selling players, which in this case is Ineos, who have decided to take sporting control of this football club. They're the ones who are making the decisions. If I'm not going to talk about Ineos and I'm going to go all the way back to things that have happened over the past 10 years, it's been the Glazers, Metal, Ed Woodward, whoever is responsible for football decisions have not done their job well. Because it's not just managers who have come to this club and failed. Very good players have come to this club and not succeeded. Sicho mentioned a few of them. Top players from top clubs, huge talent from different places. Ask yourself, what would have happened if Paul Pogba went to Real Madrid instead of coming to Manchester United? If Ronaldo, exactly. If Ronaldo decided to go to Man City rather than join Manchester United
treble winner.
Exactly. So let's not just make it look as if we have this sentiment.
I can give an example. If Toni Kroos had come to United and not gone to Real Madrid,
if Lenny Yoro, miserable player in the history of football.
let's not even go far. If Lenny Yoro had ended up at Real Madrid now, in this Real Madrid team, instead of this Manchester United team, how would he have been seen in the world? But now he's playing in a struggling Manchester United team and playing in a system that he's not even familiar with and has to adapt to at the age of 90. So let's not make it, see, it's like this. This is what we fans will do. When it gets to a point where, oh, you know what, we get rid of a manager and a new face comes in, then we turn and then we blame the players. Give it a couple of years. When this manager gets 300, 400 million pounds of mismanaged funds to spend and things aren't going well, then we go like, oh, it's not the players anymore. It's the manager. The manager is very bad because he spent 600 million pounds and it's not doing well. Then we switch again. And we've been going through this cycle for 12 years. At the point in time, you have to ask yourself, stop. You're pointing fingers in the wrong direction. It's the people who have had the chance to make decisions at this football club who have actually failed us. And I don't know whether we are going to get into the Ineos bits now, but then in a year, it's been tumultuous with Ineos. It's just been topsy-turvy. They have not stabilized the football club as quickly as everybody thought they could have. Their decisions is what has culminated in us being in the position that we are in the league table. It's just like a domino effect of one bad decision leading to another. And that's what it's like, as if the football gods have said, enough of the mismanagement, Manchester United. You've just gotten away with too much. So I'm punishing you ultimately. You have to take a very deep, hard look at yourselves. Start from scratch, right? Forget about these. That's the difficult part. We have to sort of brace ourselves for the next 3 months that it's not really going to get better. But there is no need necessarily to panic. We have to ride the storm to the very end of the season and then address our problems properly. So threats of relegation, I doubt we get relegated, but I doubt we win a lot of football matches. Every Manchester United fan, this is advice from me to you. It's going to get rougher than you actually see it. But bite on something hard. Be very, very strong. Get to the end of the season and hopefully Ineos can address the issues that they are supposed to address.
All right, Sicho, I'll come to you and let's delve into Ineos. We have about 8 minutes to go for our next break, and then so I'll give you a bit of time to talk about Ineos. What has been the problem? For me, Kwame and everyone on the podcast will know my issue with Ineos. They have not managed, or they have not been successful at managing any football club, from FC Lausanne to OGC. I always say it. If you want to see how good they are with managing a football club, check those two clubs. That was why I had my own skepticism when they were given the opportunity to have a part or become part owners of the club through Sir Jim Ratcliffe. A lot of people still have that skepticism and all of that, but why have they been so poor? I mean, at arresting a situation that we find ourselves over the last couple of years and have made things even worse, because as it stands, we might be having our worst ever finish in the Premier League history.
They don't have this. They don't have this. They don't have. See, so
they don't have the cover.
They don't have cover. They don't have. They don't have it. You see, there are two things. There's one thing having money, and there's one thing spending it well. But you need to have the money before you can talk about how you are spending it. As for them, they don't have it. So we don't even know how well or how bad they can spend.
I said riches. British billionaire, greatest billionaire or something.
They've not shown any level of creativity around how they can use the brand Man United to navigate the market.
Let me get to Yao. Yao says that
they've caused financial loss.
They've caused financial loss. I want to hear Yao.
Let me explain. So Ten Hag being kept on cost the club, Ten Hag and his staff cost the club £14.1 million. How is sacking a receptionist commensurate with £14.1 million we had to pay in compensation for Ten Hag? You spend a few months chasing Dan Ashworth, pay a 5 million compensation, and you ended up sacking him and paying an extra 4.1 million. So Dan Warshoff alone, 9.1 pounds.
Yeah,
Correction.
from what we read, they said
Mhm.
a combination of, at least from the I think from Chris Wheeler from the Daily Mail, he said that the appointment and the sacking cost combined 4 million. So I'm thinking it was
4.1.
just 4.1. So it's maybe 2
No, but we
million.
paid Newcastle compensation of 5 million.
No. They've corrected that. They said
They
there was
corrected
no
Yeah.
5 million. It was the appointments and the
And then the
sacking
sacking
was
was
a combined fee
Okay,
of
correct.
4.1.
Even with that,
Yeah.
that's 14.1 plus 4.1 million. That's 18.1 million
No.
pounds.
You relax. The Ten Hag sacking, the sacking of Ten Hag, the staff, and Ashworth cost us 14.5 million.
So
Ten Hag sacking with the staff was 10 million.
So 14.1.
Yes.
So we have a
14.1 in total for Ashworth,
admitted.
Ten Hag, the staff, everybody.
Whatever.
14.1.
How much
It's no financial loss.
How much does a chef earn in the UK? It's not even up to £100,000 a year. So all the job cuts that Ineos say they are doing, right? I don't think they've been able to save the club this 14.1 million pounds. So for me, just by one decision or two decisions, what they were trying to fix by trying to fix our financial problems, they rather dug hole for us. And that's why I have a problem with Ineos. I mean, no matter what, they might get it right later on, but in this first few months or first year under Ineos, I think that they've performed woefully.
Correct.
And it's something that we really need to talk about because clearly decisions upon decisions are just cascading us into a bigger hole. Now they've brought in Amorim, and that's why I said they cannot sack Amorim. Because if they dare sack Amorim, that's going to be another, I don't know, 20 million pounds. I don't know how his salary is and how many years the compensation will be. But so they have to stick with him. And they have to make sure Amorim works. Because if Amorim does not work, then that's extra money that we've just wasted away. So it's a lot of decisions upon decisions that I think that we are not cutting costs in the right areas. It's like when your major, if you're in a house, your major source of expenditure is, let me say, fuel and stuff, and maybe water is just a minimal amount. And anytime your child opens the water, hey, put off the tap. That's not a right way of cutting costs because it's nothing.
Yeah.
In terms of you looking at your route, in terms of how you're using fuel, if possible, maybe even go and get an electric car. So I think that Ineos' decisions have really cost the club. 14.1 million is significant compared to what they are trying to cut losses at. And that was my argument.
And you know one thing, Kwame, I'll go for a quick break, but let me make this point. And you know one thing, all these things goes to factor into our PSR.
Yes.
And it makes it very difficult for us to, I mean, it doesn't put us in a state where we can do things. It makes it very,
Not
very
necessarily.
difficult for us.
It doesn't really. No, it doesn't.
It doesn't factor.
That's not how it works. It doesn't.
Because I know that there are certain costs from past athletic reports that I've read. I mean,
you see that, Kwame, the thing is, it's all about separating the sporting aspect of the club from the business. Okay. Exactly.
Yeah.
And PSR is about the sporting aspect of the club. That's how it works. You get what I'm saying?
I get the point. I get the point.
When you look at the revenue and the part of the revenue that PSR is supposed to protect, guide, everything, 70% of the revenue can be spent on your squad, on players, on agents, on transfer fees, on wages. That's how it works. It's purely a sporting thing. So all that they are trying to do is cut the costs, in quotes, unnecessary costs, administration-wise, everything-wise, and focus everything on the sporting aspect, including mistakes like this one.
No, the point I was making about the PSR was the Dan Ashworth bit and then the Erik ten Hag bit, because those things are in relation to the squad. But you don't worry, let's go for a quick break and let's come back. When we come back, I'll get to the guys. Teacher will join us once again, and then we'll talk about the part of the issue with Ineos, and then we'll delve into the Everton game here on United and everything football. We'll be right back after this. All right, guys, thank you very much. We're back here on United and everything football. So, Yao gave reasons why he felt Ineos have caused financial loss to us, and I agree with him. Huge financial loss. That 14 billion could have done a lot of things. Could have bought some player, bought a very good player, some way somehow, but it has to go into a few or other things. So, but Sicho, I don't know if you can hear me, but you were making a point about Ineos, and how you said they don't have the cover, they don't have the money.
Yeah, they don't have money. Ineos don't have money. I don't think that they are financially capable of managing a club as big as Man United. And the way they've gone about negotiating deals, the way they've gone about trying to restructure the club by cutting out some stuff and what have you, quite clearly tells me that they don't have what it takes. Because when it comes to a club like Man United, there is one thing being smart about how to attract money, because there's goodwill. The market value of the club is huge. You can attract the sponsors, spend everything, but you need to dress the club well. The club needs to appear to be doing well to attract people to it. Because as we speak now, clubs like Arsenal, people are making a lot of money by looking like they are doing the right things. But once Ineos stepped in and we're trying to cut the ambassadorial of Alex Ferguson, trying to get some people redundancy and all of that, that quite clearly told me that these people don't have the money. And only last week, Ineos are pulling out of a 6-year deal they have with the Rugby Union in New Zealand because they don't have money. They can't keep sponsoring that. And it's the same group. It's not like Ineos A and it's Ineos B and it's a different wing. It's the same people looking to revive Man United and the same people struggling to do these things. So
they are planning on taking their sponsorship from Tottenham Hotspur too.
Yes, yeah.
Yes. So these are the owners of the club. And I don't even want to go into what they know how to do and what they don't know how to do. The fundamental thing for a club like Man United, at the time Ineos came, was a structure which had to come with money. Because I tell you what, when the Glazers were in charge of sporting decision, only one thing was lacking. Only one thing. It was decision making. It wasn't money. The Glazers always had enough money for every summer. Whether it was plunging the club into financial problems or whatever, they always managed to get it around it. Ineos need to be smart about it. Ineos made a terrible decision about Glazers made a terrible decision about which player to get, at what time to get him, at what career point to get him. It wasn't about if they could spend or they couldn't spend. Ineos can't spend. They don't have the money. And that is why I don't even want to go into the people they've appointed at the top and if the people are competent or not. The bottom line is, it doesn't matter how good those people are. Because in the end, when they need to go into the market to buy quality, Ineos won't have the muscles to compete with the several good teams who will be able to bring this place as well. And to make it worse is, the amount of money the Premier League clubs are making is so crazy that you can't easily go to Aston Villa and plug Oli Watkins. You can't easily go into Newcastle and plug Bruno Guimaraes. You can't easily go into any club and plug a good player from there because you're Man United. They have money. They can perhaps match the wages. They can keep the players. So for me, Man United are with owners who I have no trust that they have what it takes to turn the corners around for the club. Really, I don't.
The way you are itching and twitching, it looks like you have another view. Let's hear you.
It's because I feel there's a bit of misinformation.
Talk to us.
Yes, the point is this is the sad truth about it. The fact that Ineos have been put in the spotlight when the truth of the matter is those people who made sure Ineos bought part of the club are the reason why we find ourselves where we find ourselves. The fact that Sicho even mentioned the fact that the Glazers, the issue with the Glazers was not the fact that we could not spend money. It's atrocious. This is why. These are owners who never ever put a dime into Manchester United. The reason why we find ourselves in this particular situation is because of them, not because of Ineos.
Okay.
The reason why we are struggling to spend money is because of them, not because of Ineos. We have to know who the real enemy is here. They have created a huge hole at Manchester United financially that we have to dig ourselves out of.
Mm-hmm.
And because they knew very well they were not going to be able to dig themselves out of because of how they have misappropriately spent money at this football club, taking loans. Do you know how we bought Anthony and Casemiro?
Credit card.
We're using Manchester United have overspent to the extent that we're using a credit card when they could easily have put their own money into the club to solve that problem because the rules weren't even as stringent back then. But they refused to do it.
Mm-hmm.
We are paying interest rates of over £1 billion over the past 18 years because of how they acquired the club. Not with their own money, but with loans. This club is over £700 million in administrative debt, over £300 million in player debt that we all clubs that we have, over £1 billion that we owe. They knew what was coming. That's how come they passed off responsibility, asking for strategic investment into the club. They never said they were going to sell it. For people who think, oh, they were bound to sell and they decided not to sell, they never planned to sell. All that they've done is get someone to come in and put in money that they have allowed to be spent in the football club to keep them afloat. They said up until the Glazers put in money into the club, we only had about £50 million in reserves in terms of £15 million. So if it wasn't for Ineos's money, where would we
be in trouble?
That's all that they've done.
But there's okay.
Let me conclude. So this is the point.
Yeah, please.
If I am selling something or I am giving a part of something and I tell you this is the only money that you can put into it. This is what I'm allowing you to spend. That's what you can spend. You can't spend more because I'm not taking more of your money. The more I accept your money, the more I lose control of the club. That's the equation here. The more Ineos put money into the club, the less control the Glazers have. It means that eventually Ineos are going to take over the club, and that is not what they want as owners. The other aspect is there are rules now that are very stringent because other clubs have, over the years, Manchester City, whoever, have been able to go around these rules, and the rules have gotten tougher. To the extent that now it is even more difficult to be able to get around.
So Ineos can't pump their money into it.
So even if they wanted to even pump their money into it, the rules limit how much they can do it.
The rules are,
and you know this. I know you know this. It's so stringent. You can't even put that money into it. It's difficult. You can't.
I agree. But so, this is what I'm saying. So I don't like what Glazers were doing, right? But the Glazers were doing it with a certain thinking, which went for a very long time until it stopped working. And the thinking was this. Yes, they are taking a lot of money out of Man United and they are running the club on this. Now, there's a model of business where you run your business on debt. There's nothing wrong with it. In fact, it's brilliant if you know how to do it. The thing is, you have to be successful all the time on that business to be able to run it on debt. So what Glazers were doing was this. They would borrow money. They'll go to the hedge fund, they'll go to the credit, they'll do this, borrow money, run the club. But this is what happened in the end. United would win the Premier League. They would go far in the Champions League. The commercial values were great, so the club wouldn't feel it. So it was working. It was working over a period.
It worked in the first only 8 years of their time because of Sir Alex Ferguson, the institution.
So the model is not wrong. That's what Sicho is saying. The model is not wrong.
That model is premised on success. So what I'm saying, the Glazers didn't have a problem spending money. They spent good money to bring success. The problem was when the club stopped winning, they would still spend that same money, but commercial value would drop because there will be seasons where
this is why I have a pushback. So they were not spending this much money in the first 8 years because of Sir Alex Ferguson. Compare what we spent post Alex Ferguson to the time Alex Ferguson was there. See, at the point in time, Alex Ferguson was selling a Cristiano Ronaldo and bringing in a Valencia, Obertan, and Michael Owen because we didn't have money to spend. But it didn't matter the kind of squad. It didn't matter the kind of squad Alex Ferguson had. He just had a way about the Premier League. He understood the Premier League. He knew how to compete irrespective. If you look at the money that we've spent, put Sir Alex Ferguson, 1.2 billion.
1 billion,
pounds.
yeah.
1.2 billion pounds on what? Zero success.
What I'm saying is, the truth of the matter is, Sir Alex Ferguson still spent in those 8 years. But the club didn't have to spend this much because the dynamics were different. Man United's pool at the time is different from now, or since City and other teams became big and Premier League got money. So the truth is, Man United still went to plug Michael Carrick from Spurs. He wasn't cheap.
But Sicho, I get
there
your
was
point.
a Chelsea then, just as there was a City now.
I'm coming, Kwame. But Sicho, all of this,
okay.
The buck still stops with the Glazers.
Absolutely.
What I'm saying is, so
let's not lose sight of that.
That's my problem. I agree with Kwame. I'm just drawing the caveat that the business model of Glazers is not a bad. In fact, a lot of businesses work on that principle. A lot, and it works.
But it's premised on success, like you said. But if you're not successful for more than half the time you are there, then definitely your model is not working. 18 years, so only 8 years out of it worked, the first 8 years, because of the man that they came to meet in charge of the club. After that, for 11 years, it's not worked. If you take the time in totality, have you been successful with the model? Absolutely not.
Okay, all right.
So
I'm coming. I'll give you time. Let me set it so that we don't veer off exactly what we are trying to do. All right. It's very important that we go about it. So there are two different schools of thought here. Trying to argue their point out. Sicho's point is premised on the idea that the Glazers had a model that was built on success. Unfortunately, success has left them. And I feel that the buck stops with them. They couldn't continue the success. And as a result of that, they watched as we entered into a big hole, which is the point Kwame is trying to make. All right. So basically, these are the two schools of thought. And that Kwame says that we are in this hole because the Glazers are the ones who have created this particular situation. And they have tried to skillfully find their way out of it. And then Ineos is the one that is trying to trying to shoulder the big burden that has been put at their doorstep because they want to try and salvage whatever situation, but they are not making the right decisions at the right time to be able to, go around all of these things. So that's in summary what Kwame and Sicho are trying to say. So
that's not a bad summary, to be honest.
It's a bad summary.
It's not. It's not a bad summary at all.
I am a good listener.
Yeah,
that's the argument. That's the argument.
Yeah.
So in 1 minute, wrap it up.
Yeah, in wrapping it up, what I'm saying is that so when you look at Ineos under Alex Ferguson, he was so successful that their principle and model of running the club on this was brilliant because the commercial value was so high. The club was not in the danger it finds itself now. Yeah. But what's this? Once Alex Ferguson left, and they couldn't rely on a coach who would model players and turn them into Ronaldo and Rooney and Jisoo Park and Nani and co. They now have to rely on spending big to keep being successful. Hence, United had a tag of in the market when we went late to get players, desperate signings.
United tax.
And desperate signings. Truly, we were desperate. Truly, Glazers were desperate because every time they looked into the market, they were like, Charlie, who can help us win? Di Maria, let's bring him in. Okay, let's get LVG. He's a winner. Whether LVG was right at that time or not, because he's a winner and the thing can do the job, let's bring him. Okay, Jose Mourinho, he can give us success within a short time so that they keep the club afloat. So what I'm saying is, when it came to decision making by the Glazers position, they had it wrong. But when it came to spending on the squad, they had enough money to do so. Their model, the problem with that model was that they couldn't be successful.
Okay.
Now, Tommy knows this. I know this. All of us know this. Ineos, before they came to take the club, knew this. So what was the plan of Ineos? That's what they would come to the club would go as
you have your turn, relax.
Before they bring it up. But the point is, wherever they've been, they've not been able to implement any successful sporting module. So what makes me think that in the chaos in which United finds, I have the problems that United from the Glazers. I get what I'm saying. They are the cause. We move past that. We move past that Glazer problem. Ineos are here to try and fix it, at least on the sporting side.
Okay.
What have they done? And what
Okay.
are they doing
All
to
right.
fix this? That for me is the problem.
That's your
They
problem.
don't
It's
even
okay.
have the money to pump it in the space was there.
We get we get it. Kwame, over to
The
you. 2
problem
minutes.
is we haven't moved past the Glazer problem. They are still here. In fact, they still own us. That's the whole point.
Majority
See,
owners.
they still own us. They haven't gone anywhere. They are still here. In fact, when it comes to even decision making, they still do take part in decision making.
Yes.
All that they've done, all that they've done is it's like a rich kid whose father has. I use this analogy on our page all the time, fam. A rich kid, whose father left him a property, a business that he has absolutely no interest in. My father has left me a sports franchise, but probably I'm interested in medicine. I'm interested in tech.
Yeah.
In every likelihood, that business is going to fail.
Yeah.
But because of my father's legacy, I do not want to give it up, sell it, and everybody go like, my father left me a great thing, and I could not take care of it, and I've sold it off. But I still want it to stay in the family. But in order to make sure that it stays in the family and still runs, despite the fact that I've run it so poorly, let me get someone in who would come and run it for me. But I would give that person an incentive by owning a small part of my father's business. I'm not selling it off. I still own it, but I'll run it for me. And unfortunately, this person is now fronting, and everybody else is blaming that person for the failure of the business that I almost collapsed. It doesn't even make sense to me. They are still our owners.
Yeah.
All that Ineos have done is they have tried, based on every single number they've seen on the sheets, how bad things are. We've seen the numbers ourselves today. Atrocious numbers. It doesn't even make sense. They came in initially with the intention of sorting just the sporting aspect.
Yeah.
But the Glazers told them that, see, it's not just the sporting aspect that's bad. Everything else is bad. We just messed up everything. So can you just fix everything for us? This is a minority owner who is literally running the club. It's not happening anywhere. It shows you how incompetent the actual owners are.
Yeah.
There is so much to do. The issue I have with Ineos is after 12 months, the sporting aspect has not been handled properly. I will not charge them for every other aspect of the club that they are trying to fix, because it wasn't even theirs to fix in the first place. But they are fixing everything else. You get what I'm trying to say? So my point is, it's just been 12 months. It's been tumultuous, 12 months of chaos, sporting-wise. Because that's what matters to football fans. Let's be honest. Nobody cares about the stadium. That's been rotten for years. Nobody cares about what they are trying to do at current. Nobody even wants to even think about
the
that.
damn matches.
All they want to see is a winning team on the football pitch. And up until the time the Glazers are able to fix the team on the football pitch, nothing else will be appreciated.
Nothing else.
Let's not lose focus of the real enemy.
Okay.
That's the only
real enemy.
It's the Glazers.
The real enemy. Okay, Yao,
So-
let me give you a minute to see where you stand on this particular debate.
Well, so for me, I think that they are both saying the same things, but from different angles. Basically, Kwame's last statement is true. The Glazers dug a big hole for Ineos. But my problem with Ineos is that they coming in and some of the decisions they've made has not inured in the benefit. And I go back to me saying they caused financial loss with this 14.5 million that they've paid for Ten Hag and Dan Ashworth, which they could have avoided. That money could have been used to sort some things out. So in terms of that part, I think that Ineos have not done well. But the Glazers are not absolved from any blame. They have been terrible owners. And it's hard for me to think why they don't want to sell the club. Because they've gotten so much value from the club that if they sold it at any point in time, they would make enormous profit. So I don't know. I had to say Konongo Kaya, as we say in Ghana, where you don't want to carry the thing, you don't want another person to carry. That's how I see the
Exactly.
If they sell Man United right now, they'll make a lot of profit. So I don't know why they still want to hold on to the club. Yes, still they don't want to put in the very best. And for me, that's why I have a problem with Glazers, where I feel like they are being very selfish. Because if they are sold to, let's say, Sheikh, if they claim Sheikh was a ruse and that he didn't have the funds or whatever, but the proposal that Sheikh Jassim was bringing was to take over totally from them, to buy outrightly
and
the
clear
club.
all the debts.
That you've not pumped a single dollar into the club. You've run the club on debt. No matter what, they are just taking out from the club shareholders' money. Even recently, they took about 18 point something million out because of interest payments. So the Glazers have run the club down. I think that it's gotten to a point where they have to stop being the Konongo Kaya and just let somebody buy out the club. I don't think Ineos have the capacity to buy Manchester United. I don't know about their financial strength because it's different being was it Ratcliffe being the richest man in Britain to Ineos as a group having the financial muscle. I really have my doubts. And truth be told, for football clubs to flourish, you need a sugar daddy. The Ratcliffe is a British man. You know how, I'm sorry if there are any British people listening, but the British people are not the very charitable with money.
Yeah.
You for a club to be a major force in the world, you need a sugar daddy. So either you are somebody like a Todd Bowley who will come and be spending like mad because he has excess head fund funds, or you have an Abramovich who has kwacha who thinks like it's just, oh, it's like a toy, I'm just going to play with it. I don't think they are doing that. And even Liverpool fans, I mean, they are having success now, but they always complain about John Henry and the FSG group that they are not really investing. And that's what sometimes you get from some of these American owners. They don't. And then for football clubs to flourish, Charlie, we need sugar daddies. And if we don't get sugar daddy, I don't know how Man United will rise to the top.
It's very important. I mean, one thing that we've also lost sight of is the idea that the Glazers are very smart people. They sold a part of the shares. They've made money. They've made money. We've lost sight of the fact that they've made money already. They've taken interest and they are still feeding on the club again. That's the real enemy. But someone will say they are business people. What is
someone else has turned into the punching bag and they are sitting in Florida chilling.
Kwame.
Yeah, I see you.
Kwame, but you see, the problem I have with Ineos is finally the problem when the boys from Saudi Arabia came to take over Newcastle, money into the club because straight away the Premier League brought up rules against them. They are the richest club in the world on paper, but on the field they are not. But they made right, like as soon as they took over the club, look at the sporting decisions they made.
Exactly,
I agree. The financial engineering. Just the sporting decisions. Look at the scouting to bring in Isak. Look at the way they brought in Bruno Guimaraes. Look at how they got Portsman. Look at what they did with Trippier. That's the minimum. Like it's the barest minimum we expect from Ineos. That's you come and your sporting decisions. Because look, if your sporting decisions are good, you are not even need to spend a lot of money. You are not even need to. That is the problem in Ineos. They just are not. They don't have the. They don't go fit.
We're not in disagreement when it comes to that. The sporting thing is their main mandate. And as long as they fail, nobody will appreciate anything else they are doing at the club, including keeping us afloat.
Exactly.
Nobody actually cares. Like they have invested more money in the club than anybody has invested in this club over 20 years. In just 12 months. But nobody will appreciate that until we are winning football games. So if they don't fix this, they have failed in the sporting aspect so far. Their core mandates, they have failed. Everything else, they seem to be on track. But the main product, which is the men's team, not even if you are even going to be honest, we consider everything totality. Our academy is flourishing better than it's flourished over the past 10 years. The women's team is doing better than it's done over the past 4 or 5 years, ever since it was recreated. There are other aspects of the club that are doing well, but nobody cares about
the main
we
thing.
care about the men's team. We care about the men's. That's the main product. And until they fix that, nothing else would be seen to be working. So they should fix that, and probably people will appreciate what they've been able to do for the club over the past 12 months and beyond.
All right, so let me wrap up with this. Are we winning on Saturday? Fijo? Why are you quiet? I asked you a question, you are quiet.
Bro, I don't know, man. I don't know. I just don't know. Like, too many injuries. The squad is staying alight. I hope we win. I don't think we will.
Yeah, are we winning?
Now it's more like just hope. Because look, if we are going to analyze it, typically using like you being a sports person, everything starts as favorite.
That's why I'm not. That's why I'm not allowing analysis. I'm just going straight to the point.
Because you see, like I don't want people to be disappointed. Like going before Spurs game, Kwame and I were on a space, and I told them that look, it doesn't look good for us. And truth be told, it didn't look good for us. So it's not about my heart saying anything. We are not playing well. Compounded with that, there are injuries. I don't know. They said Euro and Ericsson might be back for the game. I don't know how Ugarte is going to recover.
Yeah.
But look, Man United's biggest problem now is goal scoring. And it's decisions that, I mean, it's not Ineos, it's Glazers who decided to forget Harry Kane to come and take Rasmus Højlund. And now we have a 9.5 striker who likes to play in the midfield and rather score
and
a goal.
Flick and trick and not make players.
And you have a Garnacho who is talented but very inconsistent. So you see, that's the problem with Man United now, that we don't have killers in the team. So even when you create the chance, you look at our XG, if you look at XG, XGA, and all those stats, Man United rate high in terms of chances created, but in terms of conversion, we are terrible. So I don't know. Honestly, it will take a miracle to beat Everton. Honestly, because what Moyes has done to this team, and that's why I have a problem with Amorim. Moyes has come to pick a squad, the same squad, just added one or two, and they are playing their hearts out. And we have a team, and it's like nobody knows their left and right. You have people like Dalot and Mazraoui. Nobody knows when to jump on a defender. Nobody knows when to press high. No, everybody's confused in the team. Even after 9 days of training before Spurs, all we got was 4 injuries. So in fact, today I made some analogy, and let me just share with you. I'm like, Rashford is being touted as not training well. I wonder what we do in training, because if they said Rashford did not train well and they will put a 63-year-old goalkeeper in place of Rashford, and we have 9 days to train and we play this rubbish against Spurs, then I don't know. Then Rashford, I don't know, maybe he was crawling on the pitch or something, because I don't know what we do in training, honestly.
Kwame, it's okay. You've laughed enough. It's okay.
If this team trains, the training is overrated.
Yeah.
If this team trains, the training is overrated.
Let's wrap.
I'm going to. I've seen the best manager in the world in Pep Guardiola win a Premier League title playing 3 at the back, win a Premier League title playing 2 defensive midfielders, win a Premier League title playing a false 9. Even the best managers in the world adapt to situations sometimes. So you can't come and tell me that it is this way or no other way, because the players.
I mean, don't go far. Even Pep, he's always thinking. Talk about Antonio Conte. Antonio Conte this season started with 3 back. He had a little setback, not in result, in performance. He's gone to a 4-3-3. Antonio Conte, who hits like you would, he's on top of the league. So as for Amorim, look, he might be talented in everything, but you see, the best managers always find solutions for the problems that confront them. The problem that confronts Amorim is that he has a squad that is not capable of playing the way he wants to play, but he has to find solutions. He has to find solutions. And remember, in Erik ten Hag's first season, I said that he had overachieved because I knew the squad he had was not good enough to play the way he wanted to play. But what did he do? He adapted, changed his style to get the team playing the way that could bring results. Unfortunately for him, he got stuck in that way and couldn't regain the way we thought he could play. But there's a way to mitigate it, and many managers have shown us the way. Even Klopp, when he came to Liverpool in his first few months, he wasn't playing like he played in his 3rd season. He managed the squad he had, and when he brought in the bodies he wanted, he went on to the way he wanted to play. It happens everywhere. This season, Carlo Ancelotti has changed.
So this is why I have a problem when people say, "Oh, it's the same players." It is never ever the same players. Managers are always bringing players all the time, so it's never ever.
It's okay.
The same.
It's okay. It's okay. Our time is up. If we leave you, you guys would talk. Thanks to everyone.
Oh boy.
Thanks to you guys. Thank you, Cicho. Thank you, Yao. Thank you, Kwame. Thank you all for watching another exciting episode. It's been an extended version because we had a lot to talk about. And thank you for being a part. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for commenting. and thank you for being a part of this podcast. So we'll be back after the game against Everton. We'll be back after that game. Myself and Kwame will be here to analyze all the situation that happens right after that. So we'll see you on the next one. Remember to subscribe, share, comment with your friends. Have a great time. Bye-bye.